So you want to learn about county delinquent tax sales. You, my friend, have come to exactly the right place, because I'm going to show you how to get the lists, how to make sure that you can participate in that auction, and how do county delinquent tax sales work. Well, you, my friend, have come to the right place, because I'm going to tell you how those tax sales work. So you want to learn about county delinquent tax sales. Well, you have come to exactly the right place, because I've been buying at those sales for years, and I'm here to show you how it works, how to get those lists, and how you can make money at this process. Plus, be sure to stay at the end, because at the end, I'm going to give you a special way to make money at county tax sales that you've probably never heard of. Virtually unknown, where you don't even have to buy the property to make money. As a matter of fact, when other people buy properties, you'll probably make more money than they do, even though they're the only ones putting up cash. So let's get right into it. So county delinquent tax sales happen when people don't pay their real estate taxes for 3 to 4 years. When those taxes go unpaid for too long, the county government will sell that property to the highest bidder. And the bidding starts, get this, at just the taxes owed. On average, taxes are a little bit less than 2% of the home value in a given year. So if you had a $400,000 property, your tax bill would probably be around $8,000 a year. Well, if those things get 3 years behind, you owe $24,000 in principal and probably another $20,000 in interest. So you owe $44,000, and you're going to lose that property unless you pay that money. Well, most people can't come up with that money if they've already fallen years behind in taxes, so that's a great opportunity for you. And think about it. The minimum bid on that property is going to be $44,000. That's a little over 10% of the value of that house. And if you're the high bidder and you're there at that auction, you can get that house for as little as the taxes owed, which could be pennies on the dollar. So can be an amazing place to be an investor. So how do you go about doing this? Well, the first thing to do is to find out if they sell tax deeds in the area you're interested in. Because in some places they just sell tax liens, and other places they sell tax deeds. What a tax deed is, selling ownership of the property. So you can just check with your local tax collector's office to see if they offer tax deed sales. Give them a call, find out. Also, you can check on their website through a simple Google search. The search would be such and such county, state, tax sale. So for example, DeKalb County, Georgia tax sale, or Orange County, Florida tax sale, or Montgomery County, Pennsylvania tax sale. If they hold tax sales, there's a good chance they're going to have information on there about the sales, like when they're held. If there's a sale coming up, they'll have the list waiting for you to download and check out the properties, and they'll have information on there. So go check that out. Again, it's free Google search, county, state, and the word tax sale. So while you're up there downloading the list, make sure that you also download the conditions of sale. Those are the instructions for bidding. So they'll tell you when and how to register to bid. Usually you have to do that about a week in advance. They're going to tell you what the terms of payment are, and the terms are basically cash. So you're going to maybe bring a cashier's check or wire money into an account or send an ACH, or you're going to be paying very shortly after that. But what you won't be doing is you will not be paying with a mortgage. These properties cannot be mortgaged because you typically have to just either march to the front of the room and pay for the property when you win, or by the end of the day. Mortgage companies can't operate that way. They have no way of working these deals with you. So you need to make sure that you're prepared to bid, which one of the things I'm going to be telling you about later is where you don't have to put up any money, because a lot of times this is exactly where people run into trouble. They just don't have the cash to bid. So I'll take care of that problem for you shortly, but let's continue on the tax sale. So you get the conditions of sale, make sure you know how to pre-register, make sure that you do that. It's usually free, there's no charge to attend a tax sale. Sometimes they want a deposit that will be refunded if you don't buy anything, so I wouldn't worry too much about that, but there's no fee to attend a tax sale. So download the list, and now you start doing your due diligence. What's that mean? Check out the properties on the list to see which ones you're interested in, because sometimes at tax sales, they sell junk properties that are worth nothing. Little strips of land that are just from a surveyor's mistake. They sell drainage ditches. And if you look in new developments and you see those ditches or little ponds that fill up with water when there's a lot of rain, the retention basins, those will often go to tax sale, and you do not want a retention basin. There's no value to it. So anyway, you're going to check out the property. So here's how we do that. First step is electronic due diligence. That means you look up the property on Google Maps and you just put in the address and do a Google Street View. That's where you drag little man onto the street, and you can turn him and look around. You can look down the street, up the street, can look at the property. That's your first step. And look to see, is this a neighborhood you're interested in? Is this a house that you're interested in? Is there a house there? Because there's raw land as well as houses. So look at that, learn as much as you can. And for the ones you don't like, just cross them off. Maybe you don't like the street, maybe you don't like the way the property looks. Cross those off and keep the other ones for later. Now, when you get closer to the sale, about 5 days in advance of the sale, then is your next step. Then you want to pull the list again, and what you'll notice is the list is shrunk dramatically. So these lists start out as very large, but they typically are published about 45 days ahead of the sale, and people will panic and start paying their taxes. So in Montgomery County, for example, I used to bid there, and there would be like 3,500 properties at each sale. And by the time we got to the auction, there would be less than 1,000 properties. So you didn't want to try to do due diligence on 3,500 properties. Instead, you're going to do your due diligence first in areas you're interested in, but secondly, once that list is skinnied down because people have paid their taxes. So about 5 days before, download the list and compare the properties you're interested in versus the list, and cross off all the ones where the tax has been paid. So if you're interested in taxes were paid, just cross those off. Now you start doing your physical due diligence. What that means is you drive around, you get in your car, you drive past the property, and you look at it. So you look as best you can and you say, oh, does it look like it had a fire? Do you see any evidence of like smoke damage under the eaves or on the windows? Does it look like it has water damage? You look as best you can in the windows, not meaning prowling around the property, but just at least from the street. Look in the windows and see if you see ceilings falling in or anything like that. I remember one time I went to a property, was looking at a tax sale, looked beautiful from the front. It was a townhouse, so it was attached on both sides. The facade looked gorgeous. It was stone, it was beautiful, it was fancy. I was like, oh, this is really nice. And so I got out of my car and I went up to the front door. And as I was walking up, I realized, wait a minute, I can see the sky through the windows. So I got more curious and I looked, and there was nothing. The whole house had fallen in. There had apparently been a fire, and over the years between the rains and all that, it literally collapsed the entire property. All that was left was a facade, like a Hollywood movie set. And you don't want to be the guy or the woman that buys that property, that's for darn sure. So make sure you check out these properties. So get out of your car, knock on the door, see if anybody's there, see if it's vacant or occupied. If there's an occupant, talk to them. Are they a renter that wants to stay? Are they the owner? What are their plans? So find out as much as you can, because there is no open house in tax sales. They don't like open up the house so you can see it before the sale. So you're just buying with as much information as you can ascertain from looking at the house. So learn as much as you can. So you spend the 5 days prior to the sale driving around, seeing properties. Don't spend a lot of time on each property, but just a little. And then you get ready to bid. And the way you're getting ready to bid is you take your short list of properties you're interested in and make sure that you look them up on Realtor.com or Zillow or both. And on Realtor.com, look at other properties that are listed in the neighborhood so you can see what things are going for. And on Zillow, make sure that you look at properties that have sold. Now, there's estimate that they do. I don't trust that, not with my investment capital anyway. It's information, but you really want to look at properties that have sold nearby and ones that are similar in size and maybe even on the same street, and get an idea of what things are worth. It's only going to be a rough idea because you don't know the inside condition, you haven't gotten that tour, so you're only going to have a rough idea. But what I would say is most tax sale properties are in fairly rough condition, because if someone can't pay their taxes, they also aren't maintaining the property, so generally they're a little bit rough. So account for that. Be conservative, because I'd rather you get no property than a bad deal. So good investors are patient. They wait for the right deal. They wait when they have enough information to make a good decision. They don't get desperate and just grab anything. So keep that in mind as you go. So then you go and you bid. And the ones where you're the high bidder, you pay for them and you become the owner. But also, while you're in the process of learning this, you also have to sit down with a local attorney or somebody who's very knowledgeable in tax sales in that area and learn about the tax sale process, because there's some very surprising things. Like, for example, some states have something called a right of redemption. What that means is that you bid on the property and you put down your money, but you don't get ownership of the property until after that right of redemption is expired. Because the right of redemption is the right of the person to go pay the taxes, catch up, and keep the house. And for example, in Georgia, it's a full 1 year right of redemption. So if you buy a property, you're not even allowed to set foot on it for a year. So you need to know that before you go in bidding. So sit down, spend an hour with an attorney who's knowledgeable about tax sales, and learn about the process in your local area. Now, another way to learn about the property tax sales, and maybe even a better way, is to learn from someone who teaches this business. I have a friend of mine named Tony that is the master of that. He is the ninja pro at buying properties at tax sale and teaching people. Great guy. I made a video with him that is an introduction to what he does in buying a tax sale. It's a 15 or 20 minute video. It's free here on YouTube. So we'll put the link down below. Click on that and check out that video, because if you're interested in buying a tax sale, he is the guy. He knows all the rules in all the states. He teaches you how to do it properly. He also has a really interesting way of buying outside the tax sale, meaning direct from the county, where you just look at properties, buy the ones that you want, basically for taxes owed. Really awesome way to do it. Something totally new and innovative. So that's a great thing. So you'll learn that from Tony. But I also promised you something really different. And I'm going to tell you about a business that I do called Overages that's related to tax sales, but it's got a lot of things that are really amazing. So overages are where, when the property sells for more than the taxes that are due, that extra money can potentially be claimed by the former owner. But here's the thing. The former owners typically have no idea there's any money they could claim. They don't have any clue about it, because they think, well, they sold my house, so they keep the money. That's not correct. I can tell you as an attorney that what is correct is that they sold your house, and they can take the costs of sale off the top and their taxes, penalties, and interest. But above that, the money's yours. The Supreme Court said that in a case called Tyler versus Hennepin County. They said exactly that. Overages is a business where I get lists of monies that are claimable by former owners, and then I reach out to the former owners and say, hey, I've got great news for you. The government's holding a big pot of money that you qualify to claim. Would you be interested in working with me for a percentage at no risk to you to claim this money? We sign up people all the time that way, and so do my students. We sign up people, we get a nice percentage, we help people who are otherwise just lost. They're not going to get anything. It's a really, really great way to do business, where you never have to buy the property, you never have to do a renovation, you never have to wait till the right of redemption expires. You don't get any of those issues. Instead, it's just clean. There's a pile of money, you go and get it, you keep a percentage for yourself, and you give the balance to them. It's really awesome. You help people, you make great money, and this is a business you should definitely look at if you want to accumulate capital. To learn about that, I'll put a link down below to my intro to the Overages Business video, also free here on YouTube. That's about a 20-minute video where I teach you how this Overages business works and show you how you can get involved. I teach people that business. I have a course on it, and I have many successful students, and maybe you'll be my next successful student. It's an amazing business. There are about 3,000 properties sold at tax sale a day, so it's an enormous, enormous market. And we've had a lot of new states open lately, so it's a really, really great business. So it's been great being with you here today. I hope that you learned a lot. Put comments down below, and I'll answer them as best I can when I get to it. And definitely go check out the two videos. Check out the video from Tony, where he's going to teach you more about buying at tax sales, and my video on overages, because you may just have found the secret niche in tax sales that you're looking for that just generates lump sums of cash and is really doing good for people and doing good for your own bank account. So this is Attorney Bob Diamond, over and out for now. Thanks for being with me, and I'll see you next time.